In the heart of Manhattan stands a bronze bull, the symbol of market optimism. In the diamond districts of Antwerp and the tech hubs of Tel Aviv, billions of dollars move at the speed of light. If you look at the Forbes 400 list, a striking pattern emerges. Year after year, names of Jewish heritage appear at a frequency that defies simple probability. For decades, people have whispered about this. Some have fueled dark conspiracies, while others have simply shrugged it off as luck. But what if it isn't luck? What if it's an inherited software? Think about the history of the Jewish people. For nearly 2,000 years, they were a people in exile. In many European nations, they were forbidden from owning land, the primary source of wealth in the Middle Ages. They were pushed into the margins. But in those margins, they discovered something revolutionary. Land can be taken, but knowledge cannot. They turned their attention to portable wealth. While the rest of the world was tied to the soil, this community was tied to the book. By the year 700 AD, nearly every Jewish male was literate, a feat no other civilization would achieve for another millennium. This wasn't for business, it was for prayer. But when you can read the law, you can read a contract. When you can calculate the cycles of the moon, you can calculate interest and exchange rates. Today, we are going to crack that code. We're going to look at how a theology of abundance replaced a theology of poverty, and why the Jewish kitchen table is often the greatest business school on earth. To understand the code, we must first dismantle the global myth that spirituality and wealth are enemies. In many religious traditions, there is a fundamental tension between the spirit and the wallet. We've all heard the phrase, money is the root of all evil, though it's actually a misquote of the love of money. However, in the Jewish wealth code, this tension is resolved through a concept called avodah. To the Western ear, work and worship are two different rooms in a house, but in Hebrew they are the same word. When a craftsman carves a table or a broker executes a trade with integrity, they are performing a divine act. This leads us to the moral obligation to be wealthy. Let's look at a radical idea found in the Pirkei Avot, or the Ethics of the Fathers. It teaches, if there is no flour, there is no Torah. Think about that. It suggests that spiritual growth is nearly impossible if you are starving. If you are constantly worried about how to pay for your next meal, you cannot focus on higher concepts. You cannot help your neighbor, and you cannot contribute to your community. Therefore, achieving financial independence isn't just a personal goal. It is a communal obligation. The code views profit differently than the rest of the world. In the secular world, we often feel guilty for making money. But in this tradition, if you make a profit honestly, it means you have served another human being. Profit is a certificate of appreciation. If I give you $20 for a loaf of bread, it means I value the bread more than the money, and you value the money more than the bread. We both walk away wealthier than we were before. Therefore, the more money you have, the more people you have served. But there is a catch. The code is obsessed with honesty. The very first question a person is asked in the afterlife, according to the Talmud, is not, did you pray, or did you keep the holidays? The first question is, did you conduct your business affairs with integrity? In the Jewish wealth code, a reputation is more valuable than a bank account. Trust is the ultimate friction reducer in economics. If two people trust each other, they don't need a 50-page contract and 10 lawyers. They can do a deal on a handshake. That speed, that trust dividend, is a massive competitive advantage. Moving deeper into the code, we encounter the most famous principle, Tzedakah. If you walk into a Jewish home, you will often find a small box called a pushka. Pushka. From the time a child can walk, they are taught to put coins in this box. They aren't giving to charity in the way we think of it, as a voluntary act of kindness. They are performing Tzedakah, which translates to justice. The code mandates a tithe, giving away at least 10% of one's gross income. To a mathematician, this makes no sense. If you have $100 and you give away 10, you have 90. You are poorer. But the code operates on the law of circulation. Wealth is often compared to water. When water stays in one place and doesn't move, it becomes a swamp, stagnant and toxic. When water flows, it stays fresh and supports life. By forcing 10% of your wealth to flow out, you are preventing your soul from stagnating. Psychologically, giving away money kills the scarcity mindset. Most people live in fear that there isn't enough to go around. But when you habitually give money away, you are subconsciously telling yourself, I have more than enough. I am a source of value. This confidence is magnetic in business. Investors don't want to give money to people who look desperate. They want to give money to people who operate from a place of abundance. Next, we must look at the portable capital of education. There is an old Jewish proverb: if you have 2 pennies, buy a loaf of bread with one and a flour with the other. In the wealth code, we might change that to buy a book with the other. For centuries, the primary intellectual activity of the community was the study of the Talmud. This isn't just a book of stories. It's a massive collection of legal debates. It's like a 2,000-year-old law school curriculum. When you study the Talmud, you are taught to look at a single problem from 6 different angles. You are taught to find the flaw in your own argument. You are taught that 2 people can both be right, even if they disagree. This creates a high-level cognitive flexibility. When this mindset is applied to the stock market, or a tech startup, or a real estate deal, the result is a person who can spot risks and opportunities that others miss because they are thinking linearly. This culture of questioning also builds the patience muscle required for compound interest. Long-term study requires delayed gratification. In an age of get-rich-quick schemes, the code emphasizes the slow, methodical accumulation of knowledge and assets. We cannot talk about the code without mentioning the social capital. The secret isn't just what you know, but how you relate to others. Consider the Shabbat Table. Every Friday night for 24 hours, the business world stops. Phones are turned off. Deals are put on hold. The family gathers around a meal. On the surface, this looks like a loss of productivity. But in reality, it is a massive investment in social stability. It is where stories are told, where mentors advise the youth, and where community bonds are forged. This high-trust network means that when a member of the community needs a loan or a business partner, they don't have to look far. They have a built-in venture capital network based on shared values and mutual accountability. This referral network is a cultural tendency to support one another, creating a safety net that allows for greater risk-taking. If you know your community won't let you starve, you are much more likely to start that ambitious business. Finally, the code deals with the power of the future, the concept of le dor vidor, from generation to generation. Most people think about building wealth for their own retirement. The Jewish wealth code thinks in centuries. Wealth is not something you own. It is something you hold in trust for your grandchildren. This shift in perspective changes everything. You don't take foolish risks with trustee money. You build systems that last. You teach your children the value of $1 not by giving them everything, but by giving them the tools to earn everything. As we close this exploration, we realize that Jewish wealth code isn't a secret society or a hidden ritual. It is a set of habits. It is the habit of literacy, constantly reading and learning. It is the habit of integrity, knowing your word is your bond. It is the habit of community, realizing that no one succeeds alone. And it is the habit of celebration, taking one day a week to stop chasing the dollar and remember why we work in the first place. You don't have to be Jewish to use the code. These are universal laws of human behavior. When you treat money as a tool for good, when you invest in your mind, and when you build a network of trust, wealth is not just a possibility. It becomes an inevitability. The code is written. Now it's time for you to live it.